Thanks again, team, for joining. So today's session, we are going to see Git for Enterprise DevOps. So in the previous session, right? So we have seen the introduction about the DevOps, and then we have seen the maybe basics of source control management, and then the last session we have seen something about the continuous inspections. Okay. So in this session, we are going to see about at enterprise level how we have to configure Git. So because whatever we know the basic things, right, like maybe the init, clone, and all that is for the developers in their day-to-day life, they will use that. But when it comes to the DevOps pipeline, how you are going to configure the branching strategy and how you are going to structure the repo, so everything we are going to see in this sessions. Okay, so let's get started. And so our agenda for our today's session is like so important in Git Enterprise, and how we have to structure the Git repositories. So because there are two structures, so that we are going to discuss in detail. And then the branches, we know we can create a many branches, but so when it maybe merging with the project, right? So what are all the types of branches, like a feature branch, hard fix, and release branch? So there are many terminologies and the branches that we are going to see there. And then the branching workflow, maybe this is the one of the important thing, maybe how we are going to manage the code, like so which branch the dev team needs to work, which branch they need to create the branch for their day-to-day activities, like a future branch, bug fix, so which branch actually they need to take. And finally to which branch they have to merge with it, and how we are automating the our build and all. So from which branch we need to take the build and then needs to deploy into the concern environment and all. And then the PR we already know. So just for this topic I have added. And then Git Hooks, so this is for automation, like before we are committing any one of the code, maybe before we are committing anything, if there is any validation check, so we can easily perform. So some of the features it is allowing, so that one also we are going to talk a little bit. And then so as we discussed, right, so yesterday we are not seeing the demo of SonarCloud, so that we are going to see. And then the branching workflow, so that one also, yeah, we can see, so how we can configure and all. Okay, so okay, team, so the first one, right, so important in Git, importance in Git Enterprise. Okay, so we have to structure our code. So for example, that is based on your maybe application type, nature, and all. Okay, so maybe the application type nature means, so for example I am working on the microservice related projects, and someone will working on the monolithic. And even for some of the application, right, they will be having the single source code alone, like they will be having some .NET web application, they won't have any class library or any front end projects associated with the maybe the project solution. Okay, so based on that, how we have to structure our code. Okay, and then the lean branching and merging model. So we have to understand what is our requirement and what is the easiest solution we can achieve in the branching and merging model. Okay, so if we are adding more and more branching, right, so we need to raise multiple pull requests, and we need to wait for the approval from the peer developers. So that again it will be the time, maybe the time consuming process. So we have to maybe enable the branching workflow as small as maybe the easiest one. So that is what the lean branching. And yeah, and then the next one is the pull request. So we already seen, like maybe before merging the code with the maybe the main branch or master branch, or we have to get reviewed by the peer developers. Okay, so maybe without that we should not allow them, maybe so that is the practice we should follow. So if you have any general doubts, maybe before proceeding further, yeah, you can let me know so we can discuss. So before going to the branches and branch workflow, so if you have any doubts or queries, you can let me know so that it will be good to discuss. So before you knowing that one. So okay, Tim. So I think you're good. Maybe yeah. Maybe when we are seeing the next slide, right? Maybe if you are having any doubts, you can let me know. Okay. So in that repository, right? So yesterday we have created the Git repository in the Azure DevOps. Okay. So for example, there are two structures in maybe it's not specifically related with Azure DevOps. It is common to every source control system. Okay, like whether we are going to use with mono repository or the multi repository. Okay, so for example, the mono repository means we will be creating only one repository, and inside the repository we will have all the source codes basically. So for example, let's take a one .NET web application. So we have to create maybe in the same project, right? Maybe in the same solution, I need three sub projects. Like one, I need maybe the class library, and another one is the API or web application project, and another one is the front end, maybe React or Angular project. Okay, so currently this is a maybe three module, right? Three projects are different thing. It's not maybe the single project. So but for all the projects, right, we are managing in the single repository. So that is what the mono repository. Okay, so we won't be creating a separate repository for each and every the sub projects like class library or web application or the maybe the front end. Maybe I'm just saying for example, even there are many other maybe the projects also. It can be like even some of them they might be adding the SQL scripts also along with the same repository, and then the project documents also they will be adding in the same repository, so that for others, right, so it will be easy to look up. Okay, and then so this is what the mono repository for if they are taken any one maybe project. So all the source code related to that particular project will be managed in the single repository. So we will be having only one repository alone. Okay, so the next one is the multi repository. So the multi repository, so we will be creating individual repository for each and every project. Like if it is the class library, I'm going to create a one repository. If it is the one API project, we will be creating another repository. And then if it is the maybe Angular or React project, so maybe we will be having the separate repository for maybe each maybe the particular type of projects. Okay, so in this way maybe we are maybe we are broken the maybe the code as much as possible. But in the both of the things, right, we cannot say like the mono repository is the good approach or the multi repository is the good approach. So in a both the case, right, we will be having the pros and cons. Okay, but based on your organization culture, so whatever they are prescribing it, then you can use with that. So maybe I'm just saying for an example, right, the mono repository. Okay, so there you will be having all the projects in the single repository. Okay, so if for example the 5 projects they are in the single repository, if any new developers or a new joinee is coming, right, they can just clone the particular code, and then so that can be he can easily set up the local setup everything. So if the projects are in the multiple repository, then he has to individually needs to clone and then needs to set up the local environment and all. But in the maybe in the disadvantage, right, so for whenever you are doing the build and all, so every time it will create the new release, so that also not good, right? So for example, you will be creating the maybe you will be just having the update in the class library, but even the others also like the API projects also it will version as the new version, so that is not maybe good. But even to remove that, we can do some other approach also, but just if generally I'm saying, okay. And when it comes to multi-repository, so multi-repository, for example, you are working on the maybe the 50 microservices, okay. So nowadays, when it comes to DevOps, right, the DevOps, Agile, so obviously they will use the microservices only. So for the big projects and all. So at the time, if they are managing all the maybe the source code in the single repository, right, they cannot maintain it. So for all the 50, or even it can go beyond the 100 or thousands also, even they cannot assign the maybe the hey, this is the maybe the service, so your team needs to look on it. So we cannot say, right. So for example, 1000 maybe 100 we have, maybe we cannot say like maybe 10 to 20 you maybe the A team needs to take, and 20 to 40 repositories the other B team needs to look on it. So this is maybe we cannot maintain it. So that is why, so we can easily go with the maybe the maybe the multi repository model, okay. And maybe here the disadvantage can be like because maybe, so we need to have multiple repositories, we don't have a maybe all the solution in the single place, right. So that also we can say like it's a maybe disadvantage. But based on your maybe the organization, right, so they will be setting up, this is the standard you have to follow, okay. So for example, if we are working in the startup, right, so they won't be having any DevOps, so that maybe whatever we are thinking like it's good, so we can go and proceed with that. But when you are working for some of the maybe the big enterprise, right, so they will be having some core DevOps team, and then they will be suggesting, they will be discussing with agile coach and all the other stakeholders, right. So they will be discussing it, and finally they will be maybe the proposing like this is how, so all the application needs to follow. Maybe if they are running into issue, then they will be guide us, okay. So everything that should be based on your maybe organization culture and how they are proposing it, okay. So if you are starting any new role, maybe there would be some DevOps team would be there, so you have to check with them, and they might be having the documentation, maybe the SharePoint documentation and all they would have, so you can just to follow. So you, it should not like maybe I need to know which repository model I should choose, so it's not like that. So each and every repository model, the structure, it is having the pros and cons. So based on the organization culture, so we also have to follow that one, okay. So all the source code bases will be there in only one repository, and multi repository means maybe the for each project it will have the different maybe repository. For example, right, so if you are taken one project, under that there can be many source code like .NET, React, or the maybe some ETL or the database SQL. So there are many sub projects, right. So how we are maintaining it, so this is the broader level, okay. And then the next one, okay, the branches, okay. So we know maybe under the repository we can create many branches, okay. So here there is a two classification, one is the short lived branches and another one is long lived branches. The short lived branches means the temporarily we will be working on it for the particular feature or bug fix, hard fix or release, and once that is completed we will be merging with the main branch, okay. The main branch means the long lived branches, it can be master or develop branch, okay. So once that is done, then we will be removing the existing short lived branches because we don't want, right. So for example, for every feature we will be creating the repository, sorry, branches, okay. So for example, for you itself will be working on the 10 features maybe per month or for 2 months, okay. So which means like you will be having the maybe the 10 branches, and the other team members also will be having it, right. So we cannot maybe it's not the cleaner one when we are looking at the Git repository, because we don't have any track maybe who is working on it, which repository we need to take for maybe working on it. So there it will create many confusion. So that short lived branches means you have to work on it, and once it is completed you can merge with main branch, and after that you can delete it. So it's not a problem because your all the code changes, right, that is moved to your main branch, Okay, you should not be say like maybe if there is any problem maybe later, then I need to go to the particular commit and you have to see what is the maybe the code I have done at the time. Okay, so you should not say, you should not think like when you are deleting the future branch, so all your histories will go away. It's not be like that. So when you are maybe merging the pull request and merge with the main branch, right? So all the commits, everything, it will be moved. So when so even after that, if you have any doubt, you can go to that particular master branch and then you can see maybe you can go to the particular commit, and there you can see, so for the particular user story I have modified these many coding changes. So you can easily look up on that. And even if they are saying like no, this is the implementation is wrong, if they said something, then you can again take the maybe the create a branch from the latest code, and then you can fix maybe at the time, right? You should not be working on the same user story. So if you have developed something and then it is moved to maybe the QA, and even if they also signed off, right, so that definitely your user story can be closed. Okay, even after some time like 10 days or 15 days something after closing your story, if they are maybe asking they, if they are asking you to rework on the same thing, then you need to ask them a new story. So if any bug fix anything, right, so you have to maybe work with this the new story or the new bug or something enhancement something, so in that only, so that maybe the your maybe the code maybe the logging everything we can be maintained in a good way. Okay, so the short-lived branches, so you will be working on it, and once the coding is moved, then after that you will be deleting this one. Okay, so these are all the maybe the four types it can be. Okay, the feature branch, bug fix, hard fix, release. Okay, so when but and also the team I'm just saying, so maybe we are not going to do any kind of development, right? So these are all the concept you have to explain it to the dev team. This is how you have to develop it. This is the maybe the general thing you have to follow it, because right, we are not going to develop anything like mostly for example, if any scripting update or anything, then we may want to work on the maybe the source control directly. But most of the time, right, maybe in my current role and all, I'm just a DevOps engineer for the Java and React projects. Okay, so the dev team will be working on the user stories and all, but I am not going to work on anything in the user stories and all. Okay, so you want to guide the maybe the dev team how they want to work. Okay, so maybe this is the right, maybe when they are working on the features, so they have to create the feature branch, and once the code is completed, then maybe they will be merged with any of the long lived branches, and from there they will be deploying it to the maybe the QA environment, you can say. Okay, from the QA environment, so they have raised the bug. Okay, so maybe there is some bug they have reported, so at the time you have to create the bug fix branch. Okay, and then you have deployed and then you merged with the main branches. Okay, and then the one of the important concept, the hard fix. Okay, the hard fix means like maybe you have maybe deployed in QA, the QA signed off, and then you have promoted to UAT, the business also signed off, and then you have promoted to production. Okay, so from the production there is some error it is happening, so you have to provide the fix immediately. So you should not be delay like maybe after the maybe in the next sprint we are giving. So even that also possible. If it is a low priority, then we can maybe give the fix later also. But that some of the fix maybe we have to provide immediately, but otherwise it will impact their business, right? So at the time, maybe within a day, you have to provide the fix for the particular production issue. Okay, so that is what we are calling it like hard fix. So immediately what we are going to do is we are going to take the production current production running code, and we are directly updating the patches on it, and then we will be releasing it. So that is what the hard fix. Okay, and then the long lived branches, so this branch, right, so we are not going to delete these branches, master and develop. And maybe on one more thing also, so this is the general pattern, like maybe even here, right, you can rename it something different also, like you can call it like development or any other name also you can provide. Okay, but maybe the master and develop, this is the convention mostly they have used. But maybe if maybe others, right, maybe in other companies and all, if they change the branching name, so that is totally fine, because we are not going to do nothing with the branch name and all. It's not like a standard and all, right? This is the somewhat best practices, maybe. But anyway, the concepts and all would be the same. Okay, so the develop means the master means, right, this is the main branch for all our code bases. Maybe when we are moving to higher environment, right, maybe the when the QA is signed up at the time, maybe we can have all the code in the master branch. Okay, and then the develop branch, the develop branch means like the develop has completed the user story, maybe the feature bug fix or whatever, and then they can push the code to develop. And then from the develop branch they can run the lower environment build, like the lower environment, I'm saying it like QA environment. Maybe the lower environment means the dev and QA we can say. So those deployment we can run from the develop branch. But for the UAT and production, you can consider it like maybe the higher environment. So once the QA signed off those the build and deployment and all, right, you can move the code from develop to deploy. Okay, so that in so sorry, develop to master branch. Now the master branch, right, the QA verified code will be there. So from there, so because that is somewhat stable code, right, so from there you can deploy the maybe the build to the UAT, and after that UAT sign off happens, then you can move it to production as well. Okay, so team, so if you have any doubt, so you can ask me now. So in the branches, obviously you might have some even this is simple, but you might have some clarification, even if it is something simple. If you just wants to confirm, right, you can ask me, I will confirm you.
Yeah, I have one question. So the release
Yeah,
on short-lived branch, what so the release will be tested and everything in the short-lived branch while
yeah,
it's there, and then we deploy. Like we have, for example, a release for on production that you like maybe every month, uh, you know.
yeah,
So in that case, how that works?
yeah. Okay, member. So here, right, the release we can mostly keep it in the optional branches. So for example, so in our branching model, right, so for
Mm.
suppose, so for example, you are creating the release branch for every release. Okay, so there is some manual work is needed, right? So for example, currently how you will be deploying it, like maybe there will be some branches. So from that branches you are going to create the release 1.0. So from that branch you are running the first deployment, and then maybe after the next month maybe you will be creating the release 2.0, and from there you are going to deploy the 2.0 releases and all. Okay, but here, right, maybe the release we can mostly we should not use that, because, right, so for example, whenever you are changing the maybe the release, maybe the branch name and all, so either someone has to create it, like the developer or the DevOps engineer, he has to create it. And after that maybe he needs to change the branch name also in the Azure pipelines, or so from that CI/CD pipeline also we need to update it. But that also not the good practice, right? So for every time, for every release we need to create the release branch. So that is the one manual step. And another one is maybe for every time whenever you have created the new branch, you need to update the branch name in the CI/CD pipeline. So that also not good. Okay, so whenever maybe once you have created the Azure, maybe the CI/CD pipeline, unless if there is any issue, so we have to edit. But so this is the thing, right? So if you are introducing the release branches, what will happen is, so someone definitely needs to be there for the doing the deployment and all. The dev team itself, they cannot do that. So for example, they need to create the release branch, and then they need to maybe from they need to update the uh, so they need to update the Azure, the CI/CD pipelines, and from there they have to run, and then they need to deploy it. Okay, so that is totally up to the organization owners. Okay, but I'm saying it like maybe this will introduce some of the new manual tasks, so that is not good in the DevOps maybe the practices. Okay, so instead what you can do is like, so for example, instead of using the release branch, you can just use the develop branch. Okay, so your all the code is there in the develop branch. Okay, and then so you can maybe whenever you are running the develop, so it will be deploying into the dev and QA environment, so that we can set up the automation from the CI/CD pipeline. So once they have verified, right, so we can be moved to the master branch, and from that master branch we can be deployed to the UAT and production. So there also we can set up the automation. But if you are creating the branches every time, right, for the long lived branches, like but the release is not going to be the same branch always, right? So for every time you need to provide like 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. So at the time we can be in the short lived branches. But if you're saying it like so I'm not going to have a maybe I'm not going to create for every release, so that time it is fine. Then you can be create as the just a release branch, so that at the time you can be moved to long lived branches also. Okay, but you should not be create for every release like 1.0, 2. The release 1.0, 2.0. If you are creating for every release, then you can be mentioned like short lived. But if you are going to say the release, the release is the branch name, so that is fine. Maybe the master and then release would be the same meaning only. So you got it, my bro?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, team. So I'm okay, team. So the next one, right? So we are going to see the branch workflow. Okay. So this is maybe this we can call it like branching strategy also. Okay, branching strategy. So something. Okay. So when and how developers makes changes and commit them back to the code bases. So for example, if you are working on the if you are working for the bug fix, so which branch you need to take, and then finally after the coding changes is done, in which branch you have to merge. So this is the branching flow. And maybe maybe uh, how you are going to set up the other environment deployment, and as well as if there is any hard fix. Because right, if you have the four environment, so if there is some issue with the UAT, so you need to have the particular code. So for example, what you have deployed in the UAT, but for the UAT maybe for the UAT maybe bug fix something, right? At the time you should not take the develop code. So that is the develop is the very latest user stories will be there. So that maybe for the bug fix we should not take that one. So maybe in the next slide maybe we are going to see that one also. And then the currently the popular branching strategy, right, like a Git flow, GitHub flow, and then trunk based development and all. So these are all the three the top branching strategy. But most of the time, right, if the organization is using the DevOps practices, so definitely they will be using any one of the strategy only. But the as maybe the member said, maybe the naming can be something different. So here I'm just saying it like maybe the master they can have it like release, and then they can have it like deploy also. Okay, deploy, or so that is up to you, up to them, like how they are naming it like. Okay, so first we will see the Git flow. Maybe I'm just saying it like, so whenever the how the developer is assigned the story, so from where they are taking the code and how they are committing it, and finally how they are merging it to the which branch they are merging, and how they are running the deployment. So that is how we are going to see now. And for the all the three, right, so we are going to see the maybe the flow we are going to see. Okay, so first one, maybe we will see the Git flow. Okay, so this is the very old one, but this is somewhat there are many manual steps and all there with compared to GitHub flow and all. So there are many branches, right? So definitely we need to raise some of the many pull request, so it will take some time also. So yeah, so for example, and yeah, so here they are saying, right, this is the release branch. Okay, maybe so we can say like master branch also, and maybe here they are naming it like the release branch. Okay, from there only they will be running into the higher environment deployment and all. So they will run the build of the release branch, and then that build will be deployed into the maybe the higher environment. Okay, so for example, this is the code. Okay, so currently you want to work on the future. Okay, so what they will do is like, so parallel to the release branch or the main branch, they will have the develop branch also. So parallel to this one, they will have the develop branch also. Okay, so if there is any feature, maybe if they if maybe the from the Jira or Azure boards, so someone they are assigning some feature, we want to work on it. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a branch from a develop branch, and then we need to work on it. So here, right, yeah, so here we can see the features, right? So this is the feature. Okay, so they have to create a branch, feature branch from develop, and then they need to work on it. They need to make all the coding changes, and finally they have to update in the develop branch. Okay, so you can consider this is the one. Maybe the multiple dev team, maybe the multiple developers, they will be working on it, right? So that is why there are, maybe you can consider like this is the one feature, and this is the one feature. So this is completed, so that they have merged it, and this one is not completed, so still they are the, maybe some developer is progressing on it. Okay, so for example, uh, so from the release branch, they might have the develop branch. So from the develop branch, we are going to create one feature branch, and after the coding fix is done, we will be moving it to the uh, yeah, we will be moving it to the, yeah, the develop branch. Okay, so currently the particular feature is added here. Okay, the next one is, so from here, right, from this branch, so from this branch you can run the deployment for the dev1 QA environment. Okay, so let's say maybe if maybe after deploying into the QA environment, so they are raising some kind of bugs. Okay, at the time you can again create the branch from the develop, and then they can modify the maybe the fixes for the particular bug, and then they have to merge it with the so they have to merge it with the this one, so they have to merge with the same develop branch. So when we are again running the deployment, the QA will have the fixed version of code, the particular bug. Okay, so now we have created all the maybe we have maybe all the, maybe the for the sprint, right, we might be working on many user stories, and now everything is ready, and then the QA also tested, so now it is ready to push to the maybe UAT and the production environment. So at the time what we should do is like, so we will be raising one more pull request from the develop to, and then the release. Maybe here they are saying it like release, maybe we can have it like master or the deploy. So any branch, maybe you can just say like there are two branches, two long lived branches, it will be parallel to, yeah, it will be parallel. Okay, so now so you are the QA is tested, and then you are merging the code to the release branch. So from the release branch, you are running the deployment, sorry, you are running the build, and that is pushed to the maybe the UAT, and after that the same thing, maybe after that they are the same build, the verified build in UAT, right? The same build they are moving it to the production as well. Okay, so now yeah, so from the release branch they are doing it. So when they are merging the code, right, at the time they will create the particular tag version, the maybe the tag version or the release build version they will create. So for example, this is the 1.0, so this is the 1.0, so this will create. And maybe if there is any bug fix, maybe if there is any hard fix, right, at the time they will create the branch from the release branch, and then they will work on it, and then finally they will add the code in both they will add in the both the code base, like the release and then the develop branch. Okay, so this is the hard fix, right? So from the current, this is the production version code, this is the current production version code, and then they will create the hard fix branch from the release, and then once they have completed the coding changes, they will be merging the same code changes into the release branch and as well as the develop branch. Okay, so that when you are running the deployment, right, when you are running the maybe the QA deployment, at this time it will be there in the QA environment also. The same production bug fix, since we are adding into the release branch, it will be there in the production UAT and production also. Okay, so what they are doing it, like maybe there will be the two branches, this is the release and this is the develop. Okay, if there is any feature they have assigned, they will be creating the branch, the feature branch from the develop branch, they will be working on it. Once it is completed, they will be merged back with the same develop branch, and from there they will be running the deployment for the lower environment, which is dev1 QA environment. If the QA team raises any bug, again they will be creating a new branch from this develop branch. They will fix the particular bug and then they will merge back with the dev environment. And for every day, right, so they can set up the automation, like for every day morning and evening we need to run the build for the develop branch, so that it will be automatically merged with the deployed to the dev1 queue environment. So otherwise, right, sometime if you are working on a very big project, so at the time they will be set up the per day one build, some kind of structure they would follow. So every midnight they will run the build, and so during the time, so it will be deploy the application to the particular environment. Okay, so for example, the QA is tested, verified, everything is fine. So from the develop branch to release branch, they will raise the pull request, and from here onwards they will raise the build for the release branch and they will deploy to uh, the UAT environment. The same, the release version, they will be pushed to the production as well. Okay, and for whenever they are raising the pull request, right, so they will be creating the tag, so that you can easily get the particular reference, the reference of the particular the release. Okay, so for example, the release, right, maybe the release branch, it will have the point to the higher environment code. Okay, so for example, maybe you, if you want to look at the maybe what is the current code in UAT, you can just easily get the release branch, so you have the reference. Okay, so for example, the version 0.2. Okay, so this one we have deployed to the production environment. Okay, and after that after the dev team is working on something, and then we have to stage the maybe the 1.0 release, right, so we have merged it. Okay, but that code is, right, still it is there in the UAT alone, it is not pushed to the production environment yet. Okay, so at the time, if you want to work on any hard fix, means what you should do is you have to take the reference of the 0.2. From there you need to create the branch, and then you need to run the deployment, and then so from the 0.2, so from the hard fix, right, you can directly run the deployment to the production environment. So because, right, the 1.0 is the UAT code only, it is not pushed to the production yet. Okay, so team, yeah, if you have any queries, yeah, you can let me know. But so I'm saying already, right, so the branching name, it can be different, maybe it's not like you should follow this is the pattern. But the thing, right, the hard fix release, hard fix, feature and bug fix and all common, the main and the release and all, right, maybe that could be based on the company standard, they might be changing it. Okay, yeah, you can ask him. So if you have any queries, right, so for example, for the UAT bug fix, what you should do, or for the production bug fix, what should do. So if there is any queries, then here, right, we are taken the, for the hard fix, we are taken the code from this branch, and then we are merging it to these two branches, like maybe the main and then develop. So these are the questions you can ask me, so I will explain you. This is the one of the GitHub, the branching strategy, and there are another two also. There are many things, but these are the three are popular. Maybe if you think like you might create some other branching strategy, yeah, that also fine. we can easily customize it, right? So because we are just going to create the branches and how we are going to merge it, so that's it. So maybe these are all the popularly used outside, so that's why I'm adding. Okay, so team, I think so the next one is right, the GitHub flow. So here, right, we don't have any many branches. So there we have two long lived branches, right? Maybe the main and then the develop. But here, right, we having a only one branch. We have only one. Maybe we can say it is like master or main branch, however you want it. Okay, so for here, what they will do is like, so from here, right, the dev team, they will create the maybe they might have some features assigned. Okay, and then here, right, they will create the branch, maybe the future branch from the master branch. They will be working on it, and then finally they will be pushing it to the uh, yeah, so finally they will be directly merging with the master also. Okay, and then from there they will be running the deployment to the dev QA environment, and then finally they will be pushing it to the production also from the same branch. Okay, so from here, right, so for example, if you want to work on any kind of uh, uh, maybe the bug fix in the UA, maybe in the QA bug fix, right, the same procedure only you will be creating in the develop branch. Okay, you will be creating in the develop branch, and then you will be update the patches in the same branch. Okay, so once you have stabilized the code, once you have the good, maybe the stable code, right, so from there you can run the UAT deployment and then the production deployment. Okay, so for example, how but in the same branch, right, in the same main branch, you have the code of the dev, QA, UAT and production. Okay, so at this case, right, if there is any issue with the production, so how we can so from where we have to take the branch out. Okay, so for example, there is some issue with the production. If I am taking the branch from the main branch, right, so that may be, that's not the good solution, because in the same branch there are many code that is not verified by dev and even QA also. So we should not maybe take the code, because in the production, right, even there are many of the codes and all not there in the production also, whatever it is there, because the dev team is directly pushing the code in develop, right, so that many of the code is not there. So at this case, what we should do is like, for once you get the stabilized code, at the time you should create the git tag, maybe the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 something, so that once you have created the tag, and then the next time, right, so whenever you are working on maybe if there is any issue with that particular code, so what you have to do is you have to create the branch from the particular git tag, and from that particular the hotfix branch, you have to run the deployment to the production and all. Okay, but this is something, the GitHub flow, this is somewhat lightweight only. Maybe where it will be okay is, right, the daily, maybe the frequent we are deploying the release to the production. So at least for a week, right, if you are running the deployment, maybe this may be the easy to us. Otherwise, right, for example in the git flow, right, maybe after for example to complete the develop, it will take 1 month of time, and after that we are staging the code. Okay, right, okay, right, so that may be the okay for the git flow. Okay, if for every release we will at least it will take 1 month, because that is something like a big project, there are many teams involved in it, so that we cannot directly push it to the maybe production very easily without verifying everything, all of the thing, right. But in the github flow, right, so for example, even you are updating the production maybe frequently, at least maybe once in a week you are updating it, something like. So otherwise, right, so mostly like the dev, QA, UAT and production, most of them almost similar. So if you are regularly updating, right, very frequently, so that all of the environment would be almost identical, it's not exactly. So for example, the production having the 11 features. Oh, sorry, for example, maybe the dev environment they might have 15 features, and then QA we have released 12, and then UAT we have released other 10, and in a production we have the maybe the same 9 or sorry 7 or 8 features would be there, because right we are releasing it to the production very frequently, so that almost so the all the builds would be almost same, so that we won't have the much difference with compared to dev QA and all. But in the git flow, right, they might there we will have much difference, so we cannot take the master branch and all. So that is why, so how we are going to do is like they will be taken the branch out from the main branch, they will be working on it, they will be merged with the same maybe the master branch, and then once they have the stable code, and then they will be merging, they will be running the build of the same master branch, and then they will be pushing it to the higher environment and all. Okay, and if they are, for example, so far in the UAT, right, we have released 12 feature. Okay, and in the production currently we have the 11 features. Okay, so in the last maybe the 1 week of time, they have created one more feature that they want to deploy it. Okay, so in between of time, right, maybe in the middle of week, so something like so there is some problem with the production, so you have to provide a hard fix for it. So for that only what you should do is like, so we cannot take the current master branch because it is having the 12 the new releases are the new feature also added, so that should not be added in our production hard fix. So because that code is not pushed to production yet, right? So what we should do is we have to take the maybe the what is the current maybe the tag of the production version code. Okay, so we have to locate the particular tag, and from there we have to create the branch. So from that particular commit point or from that particular tag, we will be having only the 10 branches alone, sorry 10 features yeah, maybe the 10 or 11 features alone. Okay, so they can update the bug fix, and then they can run the build, and they can update the hard maybe the production fix, and then they can run from the hard fix, and then the same branch they have to again run back in, maybe they have to merge back into the main branch also. So currently the production hard fix also will be there, and then the new releases also added. So when they are maybe running the new deployment, right, when they are going to the maybe the newer version with the 12 features. Okay, so at the time, yeah, it will have all the features will be in the production one. Okay, so yeah, this is something lightweight because you are not maintaining the multiple branches, so this will be easy, but that also something, right? So if you are going very frequently to the production, so that may be fine, but you are going very maybe at least monthly once, even there are so here, right, for every release there can be some minor updates only, it could be, but it's not like a major one. But there, right, maybe it could be like 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. For every release we have to update some huge code difference would be there in the previous and current release. But in the git flow, they're maybe updating the release maybe frequently, so that yeah, they can they don't need to maintain the multiple branches. Okay, so this is how the GitHub flow. Okay, so team, you are having any query on this? So maybe they have assigned some a user story, so that is the feature. Okay, so maybe I want to update some maybe service method, so that is my feature. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will create the new branch, the name like feature slash maybe update method, so that is the some branch naming pattern I would follow. Okay, and then so you have created the future maybe update service method. Okay, I have modified all the changes. Okay, and after that what I will do is like I will create maybe I will create the one more pull request, which is to maybe merge the code from my future branch to main branch, so which is like maybe the master branch. Okay, so one more thing is like, for example, from the same future branch you can run the deployment to dev environment. Okay, that is the lower environment, right? You can run the deployment to the lower environment also. From the same future branch, you can run the deployment, and then you can make sure that everything is working or not. And similar like the QA also you can do. So from the same environment, you can take in the build, and then you can be pushed to the QA environment. Okay. And then maybe finally, if everything is working fine, then you can be pushed to the maybe the master branch, and from there you can be pushed to UAT and production. But here, right, maybe you can run the deployment from the master branch, and as well as the maybe the future branch also. But yeah, mostly yeah, you can go for the local, the maybe the dev deployment and all, right, you can go ahead with that one. But for other, right, the QA UAT and all, you can go ahead from the main branch. Okay. So here I am having the one story assigned, and creating the maybe the future branch, and updating the code. And then maybe from the same branch I'm running the build and deployment for the dev environment. I have verified there, and finally I am merging the same code to the master branch. And in between I want to raise the pull request, and the code reviewer has to approve it. And after that I can run the deployment to the QA environment. And once that is verified, yeah, we can again merge back. Yeah, once that is verified, the same code we can be run the deployment to the UAT and the production environment deployment. Okay. So whenever we are deploying to the production environment or something, or we are creating the release, the build, the release version something, at the time we can create the tag, git tag. So yesterday we have seen, right, for the particular git commit we are creating the name actually. So that is the git commit. Okay, sorry, git tag. Okay. And then if they are running into any kind of production issue, so we can do like uh, production issue. At the time we can create a new branch by referring the git tag, so that we will get the what is the current branch, what is the current running code in the production one. So that yeah, we can update the code in the maybe hard fix branch. Okay, maybe from the git tag we have created, right? So from there, yeah, we can take that, and then we can deploy to the production environment. And after that, yeah, the same code again we have to merge back with the master branch. Okay. So okay, Tim, yeah, maybe if you maybe what we can do is like uh, so when we are doing the Azure pipelines and all, right, maybe we can follow any one of the pattern like GitHub flow, or but Git flow is somewhat the maybe the traditionally they have followed, but we can choose the GitHub flow. I think this is somewhat very lightweight, right? So we can use this one. And then we have another one, trunk based development, that is somewhat advanced. And even we need to have the some of the other tools also, like we have the git, but apart from that, to enable the future flags and all, we need to have the launch darkly, some kind of external tools we need. But I'm just to explain you the concepts how it is doing. And maybe for in our practice, right, yeah, we will take the GitHub flow, so that may be the easy to understand. Okay. So this is a
Is it
very
possible, sorry, is it possible to just mark there like which feature master,
yeah,
and like
yeah. So here, right, so this is the master branch.
right. Can you what I mean is like, can you put like some kind of note on there so we can follow later? Yeah.
So I think this is a marker. Okay. So
Yeah,
this is
okay.
master. And maybe you can say so in this thing, right, maybe future, or and then bug fix, and then hard fix, but everything in the same flow only, because you are going to create the branch from the master branch only. For all the type of branches you are going to follow the same pattern, future, bug fix, or hard fix. But for the hard fix, right, you will be creating the branch from the tag. So for example, you have deployed the 1.0, the particular tag into the production environment. So you have to create the branch from the tag for the production alone. For the rest of other things, you can create directly from the master branch. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Tim. So this is somewhat easy only. Maybe in the when we are doing the deployment and all, right? So we will just try to follow the GitHub flow so that you would be understand. This is maybe normally, right? So you would follow the maybe whenever doing some kind of learning. So have you created any the maybe the repo and all maybe so earlier? Have you done any kind of deployment? So this is the new you are trying to learn. Okay, am I correct, my bro?
Yes, it's new.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, my brother. So you can just try to understand the concept. Maybe these are
Sure.
all the strategies. Okay. Maybe in the Git flow, right? You are seeing, right? So there are many branches. So when you are using this GitHub flow, you don't need to have multiple branches. Same with the single branch you can achieve that. And another one is the future maybe the trunk based development. So there are also similar kind of strategies involved, so we can see that one. But finally when we are doing the pipeline creation, we can just try to follow the GitHub flow, so that you can understood that, so you will understand it. Okay.
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 Because when you say in the single branch there,
Hmm.
so when it will be happening, the test and everything.
So for example, so here I'm created the one branch. Okay, I have completed it. So again I will be merging it to the master branch. Okay, at the time this branch I will be deleting it. So here just for an example, they are giving a continuous line. Okay, it's not the continuous line. This is for the maybe say one user story they are talking about. Okay, so similar like there we have the multiple user stories, right? So similar like we have to take in the code, and then we need to work on it, and then finally we have to merge with the master branch.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, my brother. Yeah, we can. Yeah, maybe when we are doing the Azure pipeline, right? So we will see that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, maybe I will share some kind of documents also. You can just go
Sure.
through it. Yeah, you will be understand. But here,
Okay.
for the prerequisite, right? You need to understand what is the feature, what is the bug fix, what is the hard fix. So only this
Okay.
thing you need to understand, and then maybe what is the environment, like what is the lower environment, higher environment. If there is any issue with the higher environment, what you need to do. So those stuff only by just learn. Now you have some overall idea, right? When you are seeing the article, then you will understood clearly. Okay, and after that we will see in
Hiring,
the
when you
pipeline
said
also.
higher environment, you mean production, or it has higher and lower environment
Yeah,
in the
higher.
Git flow?
Yeah, maybe it's not specific to Git flow, Membrot. Okay,
Um,
so it is based on the maybe the environment only.
the
The higher
environment.
environment, the lower
Okay.
environments means maybe still we will have the full control, right? That you can say like lower environment, like dev and QA and all. Our application team will have the full control. But when it goes to UAT and production and all, right? Even the DevOps engineer, we won't have the permission. We can just initiate the deployment, that's it. Okay, so that is what the higher environment. Maybe there where we are going to release the features to the business peoples. So from there the maybe the UAT team is testing. So from there you can consider like higher environment. Even that is depends actually. For example, some of the organization, right, they will be having the multiple UAT environment. Even the production also they will
Right.
have the multiple thing. Okay, so not only the production is the higher environment, so the UAT also we have to consider like higher environment. Okay, so before doing anything to production, we need to have another environment to just try it out. Okay, so
Right.
otherwise, right, maybe we are deployed to q environment, and we should not directly push it to production one. So we need to have the control mechanism, right? So and after that we have to push it to UAT. If it is working fine, the same code, the same setup, we have to release it to the production as well. Okay, so that the number of the deployment failures can be reduced.
Got it.
Yeah.
But on this floor, there is only one level, right? Like it's only like one master we are having.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is no multiple layers like what we say saw on the other floor.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So that is the some the here this one, right? This is somewhat lightweight. So since it is not having the multiple branches, right? So you can avoid yeah, multiple pull requests. So those kind of things and all, you can save the time. But the main thing, right? So here you have to choose this one if you are releasing to the production environment very frequently. Okay, but the GitHub, maybe the other one we have saw, right? So that one maybe you can say like after 2 months or after 1 month only you will be releasing to the production. So at that case only you have to use this one. If you are using maybe the very frequently, right, to the deployment, at the time you can go ahead with the GitHub flow, so that almost all the code base, right, the dev, QA, UAT and production, all of the things almost similar. Okay, so you got my point, Amos.
So mostly it'll be all on the same sync,
Yeah,
right?
same thing, but only the one or few features only. It would be the difference.
Right,
Okay.
got it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the main difference, Amos. Okay. So yeah, mostly,
Okay,
right. Yeah, you can maybe whenever if you are starting any new project, yeah, you can go ahead with the GitHub flow. So this will be very easy only, and for the developers also. Okay, otherwise, right, if you are giving the multiple branches, they might create multiple pull request code conflicts. Then to resolve that itself it will take so long. But here we won't be having that much of issues and all. Okay, so it is having some, yeah, maybe the advantage and as well as the disadvantage also. But yeah, if you are going with very frequently, yeah, you can use this approach. Okay.
okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, team. Next, uh, s- yeah. So the next, right? So we are going to see another one, the trunk-based development. So for all the big companies, right? For maybe uh, the maybe the Microsoft, maybe Amazon. So all the big product-based companies, maybe we are also hearing, right? Like for every day they will run the thousands of deployment, and there are even they would say like even without knowing the users, maybe even we are the users, right, for the for their sites and all, but still we don't know whether still even we don't know like in the back end they are deploying it. So this is how maybe when they are using the future flags based deployment, so even we are not at all maybe know like they are deploying it, we don't face any kind of downtime or anything, but still they would be deploying in their yeah, machine actually. So this is how they would follow the trunk, follow it. So there would be only one branch, so that is the trunk branch. Okay, so for example, um, for every time, right, for example, if they are have assigned any story, they will create a the branch from master and finally they will merge it. And whether this is completed or not, they will do the local testing. So from their local environment or from the dev environment they would test it, and finally they would be merged with the maybe the master branch. Okay, and after that maybe when they have scheduled the deployment for every day, it would be automatically deployed to the maybe the QA, UAT or production environment. So maybe, so this may be the good solution for the everyday. If you need multiple deployment, they would go with this approach. But how even it can be deployed into production environment, but we won't be seeing any changes until they have enabled the toggles, the future toggles, right? So they would say like the future toggles. Okay, so which means so this is basically the if else condition only. So for their application, right, for example, this is the story for the maybe the forget password. Okay, from the login screen, so they need to enable the link for getting the password. So in that scenario, like forget password. Okay, so what they will do is like they will create the flag in any kind of maybe the tool, maybe the database also, they some of them they are doing, but they would use some kind of tools like launch darkly. There are many tools are there. So this is for the managing the future toggles. And some of the other tools like GitLab and all, they are providing it as the native future. Okay, so for example, we will be adding a one entry in the launch darkly website, like the maybe the forgot password. That is my feature. Okay, and what they will do is like from that maybe the dev environment, right? They will be mark it as the active one. Okay, so how they will write the code is like, if the maybe if the flag is active, then it needs to run the code, else maybe it won't run. Okay, so from that local environment, right, they have enabled the flag. So that's why the forgot password, the link would be enabled in the local environment. But for the UAT and production environment and all, but those flags and all will be disabled. So till they have fixed, maybe they have verified the coding changes and all. Okay, so so still even in the production and UAT they have deployed the particular code base, but still they haven't maybe updated the flag as active, right? So those changes won't be there in the production environment. So so once they have enabled the particular flag, then after that we can see the particular feature. Okay, this is the main thing, but this is the most more or less it is similar like the GitHub flow, right? For all the future, maybe the bug fix and hard fix, what they should do, all of the things are same, but the features on top of it, they are adding the future flags. Okay, for every feature they will add the flag. And then and then when so for example they have released the feature to the production one, but after deploying into the production only, they are seeing it like there are many kind of issues. So at the time they won't do any rollback or any kind of stuff. They will just they will do the disable the flag, so that particular feature only will be hidden to the customers. Rest other features will be work as usual. Okay, and then one more thing also they will do, like with the future flags. For example, the Facebook. Okay, maybe around maybe let's say like at a time, in a global 1 lakh peoples they are currently using it. Okay, but when they want to test the particular feature, what they will do is like they will first they will gradually increase the deployment. Like for example, they have deployed it, and then they will slowly increase the traffic. Even though the 1 lakh people active users in the application, they will just they will move gradually, like first 10 users, 20 users, 30 users, 40 users. So similar, like they will gradually increase it. And if they, maybe for example, if they are increased to 30 percentage, from their monitoring tool, if it is reported any kind of bug or runtime errors, what they will do is like they will they will found the bug, and then they will maybe disable the flag. So they will actually gradually maybe increase the maybe the traffic. And if there is any problem with that, they can definitely maybe the disable the flag, so that the other existing functionalities it will work as usual. Okay, so you know the maybe the good points, right? So for example, if the main two the two good point is like if there is any problem or anything, you can just toggle it so that it won't be available to the users. Okay, and another one is like we can gradually maybe release the features to the maybe the subset of customers something. Okay, so something like for example, if I'm just enabling the toggle, right, it will be applied to all the maybe the users in the application. Okay, so that will be the if there is any kind of problem, means it will be the wide maybe outage, right? So that's not the good. So what they will do is like they will increase gradually, like 0 percentage, 10 percentage, the traffic I'm saying 10 percentage, 20 percentage. And they will have the good monitoring up tool set. So from there they will get to know all the alerts. So whether is there any runtime error is happening or any latency. So all those kinds of stuff they will verify from the monitoring tool. So if there is any spike in the monitoring tool, so they will disable the feature or they will decrease it gradually, and then they will disable the feature, and then they will work on it. And once that is completed, then again they will release the feature to the customers. Okay, so team, your maybe if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. So this is the same like other maybe the GitHub flow only. There is a only one branch, master branch. This is the centralized branch. If I want to work on any feature, I will create the future branch, and then I will create the flag in the future management. Maybe the tool also. Okay, maybe the one tool the popularly known is launch darkly, and maybe the GitLab also providing. So there you want to create the one entry for your feature. Okay, and but in the you currently in the dev environment you will make it as active so that you will see the particular feature. But in other environment and all, right, QA, UAT and production and all, you won't see that particular feature enabled because that flag is disabled. Even your code is there, but until the flag is enabled, your coding changes won't be seen there. Okay, and then when it comes to deployment, so they can achieve like they will have the control which features needs to be enabled for the particular, maybe it's not like particular feature, so which features we have to enable, even that also possible. Even for the particular group of features, this is the one they need to be get enabled, and we should not give these features to others. So those kind of the control also we should have. And also when we are going to the release, so at the time also we can enable the toggle, and then we can increase the traffic maybe slowly, so that if any kind of maybe any kind of error, so that they can maybe the disable the toggle, so that they won't be facing much impact on their business. Okay.
Yeah, when you say the toggle on the flags, right? Is it not on the code? How is it like related with the
Yeah.
code management?
Yeah, so this is simple like maybe the if else condition only, Amos. Okay, so for example, right, we are having the some kind of the boolean we will be using in the table, right? So for
Mhm.
example, the forget password feature, this is enable or disable. Okay, if it is the one, if this is enable, if it is zero, this will be disabled, right? So from their coding they will have one more line, if the condition they will add like so before on top of the particular future code they will have the if else condition something. Okay, if the
So the
toggle is,
code will read from the
yeah,
feature flag.
yeah, the code will read the maybe the feature, the status from the database or the any kind of tool, and accordingly it will react. Okay, and you can also ask one more question like maybe if you are having multiple conditions, right, so it will maybe our execution also it will take some time. Maybe if you are having the 1,000 futures, right, if maybe the 1,000 condition it needs to check to the maybe the database call or the tools to get the status, right, it will definitely get the maybe it will take some time for some kind the hard, maybe our resources also it needs to do something for that particular command, right? So what they will do is like periodically they will delete the future flag also. So once they have stabilized the flags, so for example, now you have released the forget password that feature after 4 months, so still we don't want to check the same condition again and again, because that particular feature is standard maybe so it is now it is established in the production environment. So after maybe the 1 or 2 after 1 or 2 weeks of sprint, they will remove all the codings, everything.
So that will be another programming
Yeah,
change.
yeah, another programming change, but it's not like a much change, but it's maybe just they need to maybe remove the some kind of lines, but again obviously it is kind of the changes only.
Okay. But based upon this diagram, right? Like, so when you start from the left, the first one we are taking as a branch and then adding a new feature.
Yeah,
And then before that feature, that code is merged onto the trunk. We are taking another copy, right? Like in the middle, the
yeah,
second line.
yeah, this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
but
and
any,
then it is later merged back onto the master, right? So
yeah.
at that time, the previous feature will not be there.
Okay, but anyway, Amos, so this is the different feature, and mostly, right, they won't have they won't have the yeah, I think so we don't know like whether both the futures affecting in the same maybe file base. For example, if they, for example, we have the service a.java file, service b.java file. Okay. If maybe this future maybe needs to modify in service a.java file, this maybe needs to be modified in service b.java file. But in your cases also valid. Okay. For example, the both futures needs to be modified in the service a.java file. Okay. So at the time, what they should do is like, so this is the general practice. Okay. Whenever you are raising the pull request to the main branch, you have to merge it internally, you have to test it, and after that only you have to merge with master branch. You have to sync it very often. So for example, this one, right, maybe this person, they might create the future branch maybe 1 week before. Maybe we should not be like that, but just for an example I'm saying. But ideally, so for the 8 hours, right, per day, whatever maximum, we need to create the future branch for the maybe the 2 days. So otherwise, right, so those, that task to be completed, and after that we have to create a new task only. Okay. But what we need to do is in this case is like, for every day we need to sync up the master branch with the my future branch. So for example, he has completed the code yesterday. Okay. So now today, so before starting my work, what I need to do is like, I need to sync up the master branch with my branch, so that his changes also I will be having in my branch.
But in this situation, like the second person, so
Okay.
they have started before the first person completed it.
So even you are saying like before the first, so for example, before the first person is completed, the second person is completed and merged, you are saying.
Yeah.
So that is what maybe whenever uh, so the good practice is like, before starting a day we need to sync up with master branch. That is the one thing. And another one is before merging the code to the master branch, we need to merge locally. So at the time also we need to sync up, we need to do, so that when he is raising the pull request or when he is raising the merge request something, at the time again he needs to sync up with the master branch. Even the mostly,
Mhm.
right, the git also it will try to resolve the conflict, but he has the all the maybe the intelligence to resolve the conflicts and what code still needs to be there. But in some rare case, right, what will happen is like, in the same line both of them will update something. At the time what the git will do is like, it will show like a conflict, then we have to resolve the conflict manually, and then we need to update in the master branch. But mostly, right, the git itself, it will resolve the it will try to resolve the merge conflict. But if in
Mhm.
the some scenario, if both of the person have modified in the same file, and even in the same file, same line number also, at the time we cannot detect, right? So it doesn't know which line needs to take. So that we at the time it
Okay.
will show like merge conflict, and then we need to resolve that thing very manually. So the here the best practice is like, so every day you have to sync up with the master branch, and maybe even in your future branch and all, at the end of the day you have to push it to remote. And so before raising the pull request, so you need to sync up with the main branch, so that you won't
So
be
it's
facing
not
any.
it's not every day. Like before we like deploy or whenever
No, no,
I'm
no.
done with my changes,
No,
right?
so for every day you should do almost. Okay, for every day you need to sync up. So just like you are running the git pull command, right? That's it. Maybe when we are
Mhm.
saying it could be the lot of work, but what you will do is you will be just running the git pull. That's it. So that all the latest code will be there in your local code. That's it. Okay,
So
but
then like there it will tell like whether there is a conflict or not.
yeah, at the time itself, right, you can see like otherwise, right, if you are not merging locally, maybe for every day if you are not doing that one, so there is some breaking feature, maybe other one is introduced. Okay, so at the time if you are maybe maybe sync up on the morning, you can say like there is some breaking code changes there. I need to make the code change accordingly. Otherwise, right, if you are doing the sync up at the merge time only, then at the time only you will get to know this is the breaking change. Then you have to maybe modify after that. You have to work on again. So at least if you are doing in the morning, then you need to know, yeah. So this one or this work also we need to complete that. Otherwise, right, when you are doing the merge request, if you are sync up, then maybe after 2 days, 3 days, if you try to do that, right, then at the time maybe in your local code will be maybe the corrupted or conflicted. So you have to work on many things like at the time, right? So there would be the many coding changes. You don't know at which place you need to change what we have to change and all. But the earlier the code conflict, right? So at the time it would be very easy to fix that. Otherwise, right, if you are maybe out of sync for more than a week and all, right, so with compared to master branch and then future branch, there can be many differences. But if it is in the single place, in the single file, it will be easy to fix. But in the multiple files, in the multiple location, means it is very hard to fix, right? So that maybe you have to ask your dev teams to, maybe the for every day they need to sync up with the master branch, and before the merging with master branch also they need to sync up. Maybe in the day, from the day starts to when we are raising the merger request, right? Maybe during the time also someone they can maybe merge committed the changes, but this won't be applies for maybe if you are a single person working on the one repository. So at the time you don't need to maybe the consider for this scenario. So this is for the maybe multiple developers working on the same branch. So you got,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So team, is there any other query? So we will see the Sonar Cloud. Okay. Maybe, and after that we will come to Git Hooks also. And so okay team. So yesterday we have discussed, right, continuous inspections. Like so whenever the dev team is pushed to the code, okay, and we need to trigger the build pipeline. Okay, the build pipeline and the CI pipeline, both of them same only. Okay, this is for the continuous integration purpose, right? So how we are adding the new feature without affecting the maybe the existing feature, like we have to ensure that other existing functionalities it is working as expected, and apart from that code quality standpoint, and then the security vulnerability is there, anything is there. So all of the things also we have to make sure that nothing is there. So after that only we have to allow them to merge the code into the maybe the merge request. So in that, if you have any query, you can ask me. Okay, but in the Sonar Cloud I will just explain. Okay, so the Sonar Cloud, so what are the things it will do is like one of the important thing is the code coverage. So for example, whatever the code the dev team is writing, right, so they have to write the unit test case, and then they have to cover it for each and every the line, and then condition they have to write the test case for that one. Okay, and maybe that is also based on the project, and then the maybe how the or maybe the company is expecting from the particular application actually. But not all the application team, they are not writing the unit test case. But I think from the DevOps side, right, best practices, maybe you can ask them to write the unit test cases. So by just running the unit test cases only, we can make sure that all the existing functionalities working fine, and then the new code also working fine if everything is going good. Okay, and then apart from that, the Sonar, right, it will do the code quality check, like maybe is there any duplication is there, and maybe and after that, are we using the maybe the standards, are we using that? So those kind of things also it will display. And so basically, yeah, the best practices, code smells, and then duplications, and unit test coverage. So these are all the main areas. And apart from that, it will have the it is giving the option to set up the quality gate. The quality gate is like if there we can set up some kind of threshold, like our maybe the coding coverage, the unit test case coverage, it should be above 80 percentage. If it is the less than 65 percentage, we have to fail the build. So those kind of quality gate we can set it up. Okay, and then so if it is failed, right, then definitely again the dev team, they will work on it, and they will write new test cases to maybe match up with the expectation. And finally, yeah, if everything is successful, then they can raise it with the maybe the merge request and all, they can go ahead with that. Okay, and apart from that, and the SonarCloud, right, it will support most of the languages like .NET, Java, and Node.js, Python, and Golang. So whatever the C++, C Sharp, so whatever the language is there, right, it will support the scanning for almost all of the popular languages. Maybe even it will do support more than I don't know, but it will, most of the languages we are using, that will support. Okay, and apart from that, yeah, we can set up the quality gate, and yeah, from that, when we are doing the scanning, right, we can see the maybe the metrics and all there, and then we can see the quality gate, maybe the status also, whether this is successful or failed. So those kind of status also we can see there. Okay, but yeah, when we are doing any kind of maybe application build pipeline, right, so at the time, yeah, maybe we can integrate with SonarCloud. Even the SonarCloud also, this is the free version only. So the one I have created is free. I think if you are doing scanning for private code, so that time we need to have the license. But if you are having the public code, right, so at the time we don't need the license. We can maybe we can do that actually. Okay. So currently, maybe I'm just giving a overview only. So maybe in the pipeline, right, when we are going to deploy something, so at the time also we can see that. But currently, I'm just for an example how it would be structured and all. Okay. So far, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So for example, these are all the things, right? These are all the public code, so that's why everyone can see it. And here you can say like how many bugs are there, how many vulnerabilities, any the hotspots reviewed, and then the code smells, and then coverage. So here it is like a zero coverage, and then the duplication 0%, so that is good something. Okay, and then here you can see the quality gate status also. Okay, I'm clicking on the uh, yeah, I'm clicking on the particular Sonar project, and yeah, here you can see like uh, so this is the, yeah, quality gate status and coverage and those kind of, yeah, details, yeah, we can see here. And apart from that, I think there we can see the code smells and all, right. And I think we are not able to see this one. Maybe for that we should log in.
So this is going through just the source code, right?
Yeah, yeah, this is the one of the static application analysis tool, right? So it will just take the maybe our source code as the input, and then it will provide the input. And apart from that, right, for just showing the code coverage there, we need to run the unit test case, and then the test coverage report we have to generate in the XML format, that we have to feed to the Sonar scanning, so that it will display the maybe the code coverage values there.
So when you create a unit test, right? Like, so that is where do you create those unit tests
So
cases?
those and all the testing team will do, maybe the dev team will create the unit test cases, right. We won't be creating any kind of testing testers and all. For example, along with that, the source code repository, right, they will be having uh, the test folder also, or maybe in the maybe you know the .NET, right.
Hmm.
So you are working on the .NET projects only, right? So maybe
Yeah,
you know
.NET.
like N unit and X unit framework is there for writing unit test cases in a .NET projects.
Yeah, I have heard about it, but I didn't work on those
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. So mostly the dev team will create the maybe the unit test cases. You have to generate it, and then at the end of the maybe you have to run it. After we have run, we will have the test coverage report, and from there we can provide the XML report to the Sonar scan, and then it will display the results and all.
So for this Sonar Cloud, what is the source? How do you feed the source to it? Is it like a DLL do you need to give, or is it like the whole Visual Studio solution?
Okay. So for example, the Sonar Cloud. So this is the server, right? So we will be having the Sonar runner or something. There will be some kind of a client we need to be installed in our local. Okay. But by default,
Mhm.
right, in our agent, like in our agent machine, right, where our all the build, everything will be running. Okay. So there we will have the Sonar runner extension or a Sonar, I think Sonar scanner, I guess. Okay. So the Sonar
Okay.
scanner will be there in the our local machine, and for that Sonar scanner executable, right? We need to provide our source code path, where our source code is there, and what is the path for our maybe the coverage file. Okay, so if you have provided that, then it will upload the our source code base to. I think it will in the back end, right? It will zip it, and then it will upload the source code to the Sonar server, and after that inside the Sonar server it will process, and then finally it will report the status and all to us.
Okay.
So you understood, right? Yeah, I think here totally the Sonar scanner only will work, almost. Okay, so in our local we will have the Sonar runner, and so I think Sonar scanner, and for the Sonar scanner we will just provide the what is the location of our project source code and all the other parameters. I think there are many things, the project name and everything we have to
Mhm.
provide. Okay, and the Sonar, the token also. So because the so this is the cloud, right? We have to authenticate the Sonar server also. So for that one, I think here we need to take the client actually. So for example, in the security, like maybe I'm going to connect from Visual, maybe Azure DevOps. Okay, Azure. Uh, okay, so I'm just going to generate the token. So I'm going to copy this token, and whenever I'm calling the Sonar, the Sonar cloud, right, I have to authenticate through this token, so that it will authenticate. If it is authenticated, it will upload all the maybe the source codes and all to the Sonar server.
Okay.
So maybe yeah, we will discuss in detail later. So just for an example only, yeah, we are just seeing. But when we are creating
Okay.
the pipeline, right, at the time, maybe I will try to use some. We will take some Python project from the GitHub, okay, and for that
Mhm.
project, maybe we will do the integration of the maybe the Sonar configuration, and maybe we will try to deploy into the AKS cluster and as well as the app service. Maybe we will just try to do that. So for everyone this is fine, right? Maybe the Python and then the AKS cluster we will try to deploy it. Maybe but mostly, right, the .NET everything will be same only. If you understood the concept, by just following
Right.
through some of the articles we can deploy it.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe when we see something in action, then we might get like more understanding what this is doing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Amos. Yeah, so this is this is the Sonar Cloud portal. So here you can see the number of projects. I think currently I am not having any projects. Maybe the only the publicly available projects only we are able to see. But mostly, right, for every project you are having, you will be creating the instance here actually. Okay. For example, your class library, your API project, or your maybe any .NET. So for the front end, for every project, you will be creating a one project inside the Sonar here, and then it will show the metrics to the particular particular the project alone. like the bug. And then vulnerability means it's maybe it can detect the security vulnerabilities at the some certain level only, okay. But the check marks and then the other thing, right, the black duck, so it will be maybe it will be more advanced than the SonarCloud in the security standpoint, okay. So for example, when we are following multiple tools like SonarCube and then check marks, so when combining all, then we will try to identify almost all of the issues, okay. But here the thing is like sometimes whatever the check marks is providing, this is the issue, the SonarCloud it won't identify. But whatever the SonarCloud is identify, but check marks won't show as the issue, okay. So when we are using multiple tools, right, so at least we will try to get almost yeah, most of the issues in our application, okay. The coding smells, and then the coverage is like, yeah, so just we discussed, right. So maybe you will be writing the, maybe the developer only will write the unit test case, and so they will be providing the, maybe we have to integrate like we need to run the unit test case, and after running the unit test case, it will generate the maybe the coverage file. So the coverage file we will be feeding into the Sonar scanner along with the source code, so that it will show like whether 0%, 80%, 90%, okay. So but here, right, even the code coverage is 0%, the it is showing like quality get passed, because in their quality get rule, right, they didn't mention anything for the code coverage maybe. So they might be saying it like the code smells should be less than 10, and code coverage they are not saying anything, the duplication less than 10%. So that is why it is showing it like a past. But when we are seeing another, right, I think we will try to take some one failed one, okay. So this is the failed one, right. Yeah, so here 121 bugs are there, and then 8.2k code smells, and then 30% only they are covering in the unit test cases, and 4.5% only in the yeah, this one, okay. So here, right, in the quality gate, they have said these are all the condition, the code is less than, so they need to make it failure when the code coverage is less than 80%, I think. And then duplicate lines is greater than 3%, and then maintainability rating, reliability rating, and security hotspot, so something they are adding here. And yeah, so this is the rule they have applied for the quality gate, okay. And then the rules means like if it is the Java, so which rule we have to choose. So for example, this is for, I don't know, this is the Java application or any other application, so these are all the rules and all will be applied on the uh, on during the scanning, okay. So I think, for example, yeah, the undefined, right, should be used with caution. For example, we can just take one easy one. Yeah, should have a language attribute. So whenever, for example, right, I believe like everyone know HTML, but for example, whenever they are adding the HTML attribute, right, so they need to specify the language attribute. So they are saying like this is the one of the important thing. Even the browser is taking the default one, we have to explicitly mention the language attribute. So this is the one kind of the bug they would report. So this is the part of the bug, okay. And this is the part of code smell. CSTDIO should not be used in the C++. This is part of the code smell. So these are all the following rules will be applied during the scanning. If there is any maybe it's not, if the coding is not matched with the above rule, then it will rise as the bug or the code smell. So based on the rule, so this rule is not matched, then it will create a one code smell issue, okay. And this is the part of smell, sorry, bug and all. And yeah, this is how. And then the quality profile, yeah, so which profile they have to use it. So for example, if it is the Java project, right, it will use the Java profile. If it is the .NET, it will use the C# profile. Okay, so this is just like a profile only, and maybe it will detect default, but we also needs to know maybe how it is working actually. Okay, and then now here the projects, right? We can see the projects overview, and then profiles. Which profile we need to see? For example, if it is the .NET project, we have to use the .NET profile, sorry, C# profile something. The rules means what are also rules. It will maybe try to validate during the scanning. The quality gates means if there is any yeah, so we can set up the some conditions. If it is not matching, then we can make the sonar maybe the quality as the failed or passed based on the conditions. Okay, and also here they will have the some kind of filtering also. So currently we have the only one project, so that is why the failed, right? So it is failed one, so that's why it's showing like failed. Okay, if I'm choosing like passed, then I'm not getting, because this is the filter actually. Okay, so this one also you can use that. And here the reliability rating is C. And if for example, if I'm having 50 kind of sonar projects, right, then the filters will work for us, like security, and then if the security is above 80 percentage, so those kind of filterings we can use. And also like I want C# related projects only. And then so these kind, for example, for currently, right, I'm just seeing only one project. Maybe in your project, right, maybe in you are maybe you are having the access, and then you are maybe account level. Okay, maybe the VP and all, right? So under them there can be many projects. It can be in the many technologies like C#, .NET, Python, maybe the Java and all, right? So they will just apply the filters, then they will try to get the maybe the response and all from here. Okay, so team, you have some overall idea about the SonarCloud, right? So for every project, we will have the project here, and if the project is .NET or the Java, based on that, the profiles will be applied. Okay, for example, the JavaScript, right? The JavaScript is for the Angular and React and all. We will use the JavaScript profile. Okay, the Kotlin means the Android, right? And then here, right, for the JavaScript, we have the two profile. Which one we have to use it? So in this case, right, I think mostly we'll use the default. Maybe if you think like you want to use some other maybe the another profile, yeah, you can use that one. But here here the thing is like the first profile we have the 203 rules, but here 201 rules. But this is the frequently updated 13 hours ago. But maybe we can use this one. But here they are saying it like the recommended one would be the second one. Okay, and then PLSQL, Python. But mostly, right, they are having one profile only for the language. But in my case and all, right, I think for the Java, I think they might have many. Yeah, I think here the Java, right, they are having two. So in this one, they are just having 54 rule, and here they are having 482. And I think the individual rules also, whatever the rules it will apply for the this project, yeah, you can see it. Okay, and then the quality gate, and apart from that, the one thing you need to know is like maybe as a DevOps thing, maybe you have to understand the security. So how to generate the token, how to revoke it, so that thing we need to know. So from there we will copy the token, and then from that Azure pipeline, right, we will run it so that our metrics and all will be shown here. I think notification, maybe some kind of email it will do, I guess. Background task in failure on my administrative projects, my new issues. Okay, I think if there is any failure, so at the time it will notice, I guess it will notify. And maybe the organizations, yeah, yeah, maybe we can create many organization, yeah, under that we can have a projects, maybe some kind of groupings, they will provide. So team, you are good with this one, right?
So how this is interlinked with DevOps? Only on the pipeline?
Yeah, only on the pipeline only. For example, yeah, maybe for the first step, right, maybe in the build stage, what you will do is like you will compile the you will compile the application. Okay, that is the first one. The second is you will run the unit test case, and after that you will run maybe you will resolve your packages, right? You will restore the packages. I think in the .NET we will use the .NET restore command, right, to restore all the packages. And after that we will run the .NET build so that the build would be created. The next step is we have to run the sonar scan, like we have to provide the command in the console actually. So this is the sequence of step, Amos.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, team. So I think you are good with this. Maybe for an the Git hooks we can just discuss a bit in 1 or 2 minutes. So that is easy only. So for example, the Git hooks, right? Based on the action, it will run the particular scripts actually. Okay. So for example, yesterday we have created the repository, right? So for example, so this is the repository we have created yesterday, and then we have pushed it to Azure DevOps also. Okay, and inside the .git folder you have many folders and files and all. Okay, so here we have the hooks actually. Okay, so here we have many hooks option, but all of them are disabled currently. So when it will use like so for example, the pre-commit, okay, whenever we are running the commit git commit command, right? So before that it will run this command, it will run whatever the command we have specified here. Okay, so for example, I am providing it like just the initial commit. In the commit message I have provided the initial commit, that is the message. But it maybe if there is any validation, if you can do here like maybe that our commit message should be in the proper format, like that is first one is the task number, the next one is the git commit message. If maybe if I am not using the standard practice, right, maybe you have to implement the pre-commit that hook. So that will ensure like even if they are missing, or if they are not following any kind of the format, they will it won't allow them to commit successfully. So again they have to fix it. So until they are fixing that one, it won't allow them to commit it. So that is the scenario here. And similar like pre and then post commit, also post update. So there are many actions are here. Based on the actions, maybe it will so based on the action it will trigger the particular maybe the scripts inside in the particular file. Okay, so I will maybe I will share this, maybe the document link, maybe you can just refer it so you can understood actually. Okay, so whenever the particular action is happened, the particular hook is will be called. So inside the hook, whatever the script, maybe the script can be the shell scripting or the Python or the PowerShell, anything. Okay, so that particular command will be maybe executed. Even in the script, right, you can do like you can configure the SMTP server, so you can send a mail also, whatever the customization you need, so you can do that. But mostly what we will do is like the commit message we can do, and but the email configuration and all mostly we won't do, because all the other stuffs and all, right, the Azure DevOps will do all the mailings and all. Okay. Yeah, okay, Tim. So you can just understand it. Maybe if you have any queries, we can discuss tomorrow also. This is something easy only. So based on the action, the particular hook will be called. So you can just understand like maybe you have the requirement that always the git commit, the message we are providing, right, that should be in the proper format. If the developer is not provided the format, so how you have to ensure is like you have to have the pre-commit that particular hook enabled, and inside that you have to get the commit message they have giving, and you need to validate. If it is failed, then you can just providing the error messages saying like please provide the proper commit message in the proper format, something. Okay, team. Okay, team. So now the time also, I think, hope you are good on this one. Maybe, yeah, this is something simple only. Mostly we won't be using that except the pre-commit. So you can just try to understand pre-commit alone. So I will share the link also, so it will be easy to understand. Okay. So, okay, team. I think we almost here over the time. So, thanks for joining and good night.